Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. My name is Plami, and in this episode of Plami's Thoughts On, I'm gonna be sharing my thoughts on episode 6 of the first season of The Walking Dead World Beyond. Hopefully you enjoyed my last video on the last episode, which I think is probably my favorite episode so far of this series because it had the most substance to the episode actually, or at least in terms of the dialogue, it was the most interesting and I remember it actually. There are at least a couple lines of dialogue that I actually remember, so I know that's not much, but that's actually quite an accomplishment for this series because it's largely not that memorable and boring, as I said, over the course of the first 6 episode reviews. So yeah, for this one, I'm honestly not exactly sure how I feel about this episode. I feel like the idea that they were going for is not bad, and I kind of enjoyed it to a certain extent, but there was also a lot of it that really annoyed me, and I'm gonna get into the specifics in a little bit. I just want to say that I really struggle with these reviews for World Beyond. It's just like it's not as easy to review it as Fear the Walking Dead, because with Fear I just recap the episode and share the thoughts I have for every single scene that I think deserves a mention. While for World Beyond it doesn't really work like that, because for a lot of it I just don't remember what happened or what the timeline for each scene was, you know? So yeah, I'm gonna try to do the timeline way of telling it, but yeah, I don't know, we'll see. So, in the last episode we ended on a cliffhanger, I believe, where our group met this new guy called Percy. And as I said in my review of the last episode, I actually really like, or at least like Percy. I like his name, it's a cool name that I might use in some of my stories when I get to write them, but yeah, I really like the name, I really like the look of the character, and the actor does a pretty decent job. Like, I enjoyed him quite a lot. But the thing that doesn't make sense to me is, considering that he is aged, like, maybe, let's say, he's about the age of the other characters, or maybe a little bit older than the other team characters. The fact that he was surviving on his own, or I know that he was lying, like we learned later on that he was lying about it, but at first it bothered me, the story that he was surviving on his own when he's clearly like in his 20s and it's been 10 years into the zombie apocalypse. I just cannot buy the fact that he's been surviving on his own. Like, for fuck's sake, he didn't have a knife with which to kill walkers. Like, that's something weird about this series, where it doesn't feel like any of the characters have actually survived into the zombie apocalypse for like 10 years. It doesn't feel like it at all. And that's so weird. I feel like the fact that this is set in 10 years into the future, they do not take advantage of that. And it bothers me honestly a little bit, because there's a lot of things that change how a story in the zombie apocalypse would be told, depending on where in the point of time you're telling it. Like, if you're telling it a few months after the zombie apocalypse, it would be one kind of story. If you're telling the story 5 years from the zombie apocalypse, it would be another thing. If you're telling a story 10 years from the beginning, it will be a different thing. And if you go as far as 50 years in the future, it's gonna be almost unrecognizable from the modern world. So I feel like the series in general should take more advantage of that. I feel like maybe The Walking Dead has taken the most advantage of the point in time in which they are, because if the Whisperers were done without the time jump, I mean, probably I still would have been fine, but it's much easier to believe that a group of this kind of people would exist 10 years into the zombie apocalypse, because it's been a decade. Like, at this point, there's no possibility that the world would be returned to the way it was. So even the most savage people who are acting like people would be gone. And only weird little communities like the Whisperers might survive, other than people in actual communities, you know? So that is believable. Well, something like a random 20-year-old without no weapons, who doesn't look like he has killed a walker in his life, surviving, just doesn't, I don't buy it. And at least for It's the same for the main characters actually, but at least for the main characters you can explain it by saying, oh, they've been sheltered in this community for 10 years, even though they still shouldn't be afraid of the walkers and should have been able to kill them. Maybe not be professionals at it like the main group on The Walking Dead or Fear the Walking Dead, but they should be able to take at least one walker, and they have showed no ability to do so. And what's more annoying, they haven't even had to. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, that's something that annoys me actually about this series, and that it really kind of jumped at me in this episode, because I watched episode 5 and episode 6 right after one another, because I was already behind in watching the episodes. Because for World Beyond at this point, I have to force myself to watch it, because I'm not really, I'm really excited about it. Now I definitely have to force myself to watch it, even though the last episode, like episode 5, was actually pretty interesting. But yeah, it's annoying how the characters haven't even had to take down walkers. Like, from the top of my head, I think Iris has taken one walker, and not Iris, Hope has taken down one walker, Iris has taken one walker, and Silas has taken one walker. I don't think Elton has killed a walker yet, and it just annoys me how he can literally go around the walkers or not have to fight the walkers and survive. That's on the writers, honestly, making the walkers way too little of a threat. They should be much more threatening. You know, people have been complaining that the walkers were much more scary in like season 1 and season 2 of the main show, when Frank Darabont was still the one showrunning. In a certain sense, yeah, I agree. I disagree with the idea that the walkers should be able to carry rocks or climb fences or whatever, but I don't hate the idea of the walkers being able to at least lightly jog, because remember, in season 2, when Shane was going for the medical supplies for Carl's operation, the walkers there were slightly running. Like, it was a threat that Shane, who had fucked up his leg a little bit, couldn't run away. Like, it wasn't enough for him to be slowly walking to get away from them. And I feel like for most of the seasons of the main show, they were able to not really... They were able to balance the fact that the walkers were getting slower with still making them a threat. But in this show, like, you can just go around them and no problem whatsoever. They're not gonna grab you, you're not gonna die. Like, it's way too easy for the characters, is what I'm trying to say. And I've gotten a little bit sidetracked, but it was just something that I had to get out of my get out of my head. So then they hatch a plan, because the guy tells them that he has a truck, which I guess I'd say they explained how he is able to still drive it 10 years into the zombie apocalypse. But again, that's what I'm saying. The story they're trying to say doesn't work 10 years into the zombie apocalypse. I don't think it does. If it was 5 years, which would still be ahead of Fear and behind The Walking Dead, I can buy it. But considering the way the characters on the main show have been living, I don't know. I just don't buy it. So they hatch a plan to go and get the truck of the guy, because apparently his friends had stolen it from him. And they go to a nearby town, I think it was. And they see the truck. And they find one of the guys, because there were supposed to be 2 guys, being shot and sitting in the truck shot. So they take him out of the truck, but there are no keys, and apparently they cannot even use the cables to wire it up, because there's a metal plate preventing you from doing that. So they have to go and find the other guy and get the keys from him. So they get inside that building. Wait, who was it? I think Percy and Felix were the ones who got inside the building. Felix gets attacked by a walker who, in a cheap trick, it was actually a mirror who he smashes, and then the walker's in the opposite side. It's a little weird when you watch it, because you don't even notice the mirror at first, but if you were in that situation, you would clearly see the mirror, that it's a mirror. So it was a little bit stupid at first when I saw it. And then it annoyed me how easily Felix dispatched of the walker, because he literally just grabbed his gun, pushed it into this part of the walker's head, and pushed it a little bit more, and the walker was dead. That was way too easy. Like, why are they making the walkers so little of a threat? It's so annoying. I know it's been 10 years, but for fuck's sake. The walkers should be more of a threat. Just because it's been 10 years doesn't mean that the skull would be like fucking gelatin. But yeah, Elton and Hope are standing guard on the front of the building. Silas is sitting beside a truck. And Iris, because nobody shows up, decides to go on the back and see what's happening. And by the way, in this episode, I think there was like 4 fucking jump scares that really annoyed me. I don't remember all 4 of them, but I remember one that really annoyed me, because there's no reason why he should have done that. Because it was when Felix was entering the front of the building, I think, and as they were getting close to the door, Percy slaps the window with his hand for no reason whatsoever other than to fucking fake a jump scare. Like, if you're gonna have a jump scare, fine. I don't have a problem with that. I know some people hate any kind of jump scares. I'm fine with that. Even if it doesn't fit with like the build-up of tension or whatever, I'm fine with it. But that one doesn't make any sense. Why would he scare them like that? It's just stupid. It annoyed me a lot. But yeah, so Felix and Percy are inside the building. Felix is kind of nowhere. Percy actually meets with Iris, and they get to the room where the other guy is supposedly at. But when they enter, there is nobody. And then Percy sends Iris to get out, and he goes to get his own stuff, because they apparently had his stuff as well. But then he supposedly gets shot by the other guy. Turns out though, he wasn't, because there was no other guy. And when Iris gets back into the room, he sees him running outside on the roof. And Iris, because she's a dumbass bitch who doesn't know how to kill walkers and thinks that she's the biggest badass in the world, runs after him and falls like a fucking idiot into a giant trash bin, which she cannot get out of. And apparently, and I think there's like 1 or 2 walkers who stupidly go up and down under the trash. That was so stupid. The second I saw it come out of the trash, I knew they were gonna do that. It was so stupid. It doesn't make even sense. Why would the walker go down? That's stupid. That's style over substance, which sometimes is fine, but in this case, it was dumb as fuck. And again, the show makes it easy, because instead of her having to fucking kill it or climb out of it, no, she's like, Felix, help me, and he's the one who gets her out and kills the walker. Fucking hell. You know, considering the way we've seen the season so far, I don't understand why the writers wrote it the way they did. Okay, maybe you wanted to introduce this to new viewers with sheltered kids who will realize how fucking dark and hardened you have to be to survive in this world. If that's the case, why haven't you have the characters actually have to do some bad shit to survive? It's been all fucking makes it easy. It's, you know, people have been saying that this show is CW's The Walking Dead. I actually am gonna up you on that. It's actually Disney's The Walking Dead, because this is what Disney Channel would do, I feel like, honestly, if they were genuinely trying to do The Walking Dead, and not like something like Zombies, the movie, which is actually a pretty good movie, and I love it, and I love the songs as well. And might do a review of it at some point when I get to watch it fully, because I've only seen reviews of it, but I've really liked it, and I've listened to the songs a lot. So yeah, it really annoys me how makes it easy it is. And yeah, also throughout this episode, Iris gets a crush on Percy, Silas gets a little bit jealous. Fucking hell, get off. That was a plotline that I don't really care about, and I think it's gonna be continuing, because at the end of the episode, Percy joins the group, and actually, as they were running away, because as I said, Percy was taking his stuff, and he was running through the window, and it turns out the guy who we thought was shot wasn't actually shot, and stupidly Silas didn't notice jack shit because he's a fucking moron. So they got away with everybody's stuff, and honestly, I feel like maybe they should have done that. They maybe should have actually played this straight. These should have been bad guys who the good guys, aka Hope, Elton, Silas, Iris, Felix, and Huck, would have had to deal with to get their stuff back. Because as the truck was driving away with their stuff, Elton screamed about the notebook that he had as a memory from his mom. Wouldn't it have been cool if he had to work hard and maybe kill some people to get it back? Don't you think that would be fucking cool? Why am I able to write a more interesting story than them? I feel like this episode, in a certain way, is the epitome of everything wrong with this series. It's just fucking dumb. It's dumb. But again, there were a couple of moments. I guess there was one moment where after all this happened, where they got away with their with the truck with their stuff, they come back to save them, and then basically they join the group, you know. And as they're talking about where they're gonna get fuel for the truck, the guy who we thought was shot, who is the uncle of Percy, says that there are refueling points that are owned by the CRM, and apparently he also knows about the CRM, and then he reveals that the truck that they were driving is a CRM truck. And that honestly caused me to think about something, and I'm not really sure whether I like it or not. Because in a certain way, having this big organization be known to random survivors around the USA is kind of cool. I like that. I like that they know about them, but they don't know who they are or what they're doing. That is kind of intriguing, at the very least. But then, I don't like the idea that despite everything being wrecked, like the zombies taking over the world, there is a military organization that everybody knows about. Like, in a certain way, it's interesting, but it also kind of ruins what I loved about The Walking Dead. Because my favorite time on The Walking Dead, like from when to when, is not really the early time of the zombie apocalypse, but like from season 2 through season 6 is my favorite point of time in the zombie apocalypse, story-wise. Because I feel like at that point you can do the best stories. Because if it's like 20 years in the future, you don't really have the weight of the zombie apocalypse beginning. While if you do it too early, you also kind of don't have that, but you gain other different stuff, like seeing the breakdown and whatever. So for me, that window of between season 2, which was like 2 months in, until season 6, which was like 2 years in, is the best window of doing stuff like that. And the feeling that I get from then where there's just random groups of survivors all surviving in the zombie apocalypse, and no overarching organization which everybody knows of or everybody has seen but nobody knows. I don't know. Again, it's kind of intriguing, but it also ruins it, because it's like, oh, as in the time that these people have been surviving and living like this, there has been an organization which is completely untouched by the zombie apocalypse. I don't know. It kind of ruins it, you know? It's kind of... I don't know if canon breaking would be the right one, but the thing that as the group on the main show was getting out of the prison after it was destroyed and it was walking towards Virginia and Alexandria, that there was this community military organization which was still standing. I don't know, it just bothered me. And it's not the same like with the communities. The communities is fine. The communities existing, like Alexandria, being a thing since the beginning of the zombie apocalypse doesn't really bother me because it's just a small community, but apparently the CRM is this fucking giant organization with like hundreds of thousands of people. And when this organization has survived, how the fuck have all these people fucking died? I don't know, it's just honestly canon breaking in a way. And yeah, I'm getting a little bit sidetracked with that, but that's just something that sparked in my head when I saw that scene. Again, it's cool that all the random people have seen the helicopters, but I don't know. I both like it or find it interesting at least, and I don't like it. I find the name drops of the helicopter people better on Fear, because at least I know that the story of that one is not gonna be really involve them that much. They're just gonna kind of Easter egg them. Well, for World Beyond, it is kind of the story. Yeah, I don't know. So yeah, apparently in the next episode we're supposedly gonna get to the refueling station with the CRM, I assume. I don't know, I haven't seen the trailer for the next episode, so I don't know. But yeah, I still don't think this episode was too bad. I just found the guy who's playing Percy's uncle a little cheesy, and the execution is not good. Iris's bossy, self-righteous, know-it-all attitude still annoys me, and the show doesn't seem like it's ever going to force her to develop as her character trait or whatever. That's the thing, this show is not trying to develop its characters. Because like, if I compare it to Fear, it's been 5 episodes, and a lot of the characters have already fucking evolved. Like, Morgan changed, Strand changed, I mean, which other episode has featured other characters? I guess Dwight and Alfie haven't changed, but still, they at least had a little bit of a development. At least maybe their relationship with each other, like friends and best buddies or whatever. Well, in this show, nothing challenges the characters. I think that's one of the biggest problems with the show. There's no challenge to the characters. Oh, there's this big base of glory that everybody keeps going around with. Oh no, we are the dumbest teens and we're gonna go through it and we're probably gonna die. Oh no, we actually survived with no scratches whatsoever and no effort, really. Same with the school, to be honest. Although maybe at the end, where Silas fucking broke down and beat the shit out of the walker, maybe that was a little bit of an effort on their side, but not too much. And maybe with the boat and trying to cross the river last episode was okay, but it largely doesn't challenge the characters in any way. And honestly, that bothers me. That just bothers me. But if I gotta be 100% honest, I'm not that invested in this show in general to be complaining about that. If this was maybe the 4th season of the show, and before that it was good, I would probably be fucking pissed. I would probably drop the show and not watch it. But considering it's the 1st season, as I see it, it can only get better. And hopefully they're gonna take the fan reception and they're gonna improve it for the 2nd season, because apparently that's what they did to Fear. I don't know. It was better. It is 100% better than season 5. Because season 5 I watched like episode 1 or 2 it was, and it annoyed the shit out of me. I couldn't watch it. It was annoying. It was boring. There were just so many little things that bothered me, you know. But yeah, how am I gonna rate this episode? I think I'm gonna give it a 5.4 to 5.6 out of 10. I don't think it's really more than that. Ultimately, this series, it's just kind of average. And I know some people have skewed rating system, like, I know you might see this is bad, but I feel like a lot of people have skewed rating system where good is 9 and 10, average is 7, or maybe sometimes even 8, and bad is 6 out of 10. I think we should scale that back and actually make the high ratings be like 7, 8, 9, 10, average rating being 4, 5, and 6, and bad being 1, 2, 3. I don't think this series is that bad. I've definitely had some episodes of Fear be borderline unwatchable. Like, I would definitely give a lot of episodes of season 5 of Fear like 1 or 2 or 3. For this one, I just think it's kind of averagely bad. Or should I say more averagely boring. But yeah, that's how I feel about this episode. And yeah, I'm not really too excited about this episode, but I'm already more than halfway into the season. I'll keep watching until the end, and I don't know whether I'm gonna do reviews for each episode going forward, because as I said, I just don't really feel like watching. If I feel like I have thoughts to share, I will do a video, but if not, I'll just combine 2 episodes maybe into one. Yeah, we'll see. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like, subscribe. Also, check out the link in the description to my Twitter if you want to follow me there, and to my Wattpad where I post my stories, because in addition to doing all these videos on my channel, I'm also a writer. And if you end up enjoying my stories, or you simply enjoy my videos, you can head over to Patreon, where you can pledge your support and help keep the channel going, help support me so I can keep writing the stories you enjoy. And also, if you don't want to do it, that's completely fine. You can still help me out in other ways, like liking this video, subscribing, and especially sharing this video with someone who you think might enjoy it. And I think it's pretty much it for this video, so hopefully I'm gonna see you in the next one. Bye!